Okay, again working in Excel on an interest rate problem. This time I've jumped ahead to problem 618. And I'm not going to do the whole problem, but I think I can use it to kind of illustrate how you would do a longer, more complex problem in trying to determine the different rates. And so the problem text I've got written in front of you, you can look at it in Applia or in your book. And it says that you're looking at inflation of 7, 5, and then 3%. So year 1, year 2, and then every year thereafter it goes to 3%. And that's the first information you want to analyze, because what you're looking at, and I'm just going to do what would the rates be for 5 different years. So what would the inflation be in those 5 different years? And so the inflation each of those years is going to be an average. So I'm just going to roll down my screen a little bit here. And I've typed those numbers in here. So here's inflation each of the years, but then you need the average. So obviously if you have a 1-year one, the average is simply going to equal what it is. So the average for the 1 year is going to be 7%. But the average for the second year is going to be 7% in the first year plus the 5% in the second year and divided by 2. So 7% plus 5% is 12% divided by 2, and the average is going to be 6%. I'll reformat these in a minute. So the third year, your inflation is going to be equal to the 7%, 5%, and 3%, and then divide it by the third year, and it would be 5%. The fourth year, I'm going to do a shortcut. I'm going to say just take the sum of the 4 years and then divide it by 4 years. And the inflation now is down to 4.5%. And then for the fifth year, I'll take the sum of all 5 years, starting at the 7 and going all the way down to the 3% in year 5. So I've taken all 5 numbers, added them together, and then divided it by 5. And inflation is now at 4.25%. And I'm going to use the percent sign for all of those, and I'll give it 2 decimal places. So now we have the numbers of what the inflation would be for the average of each year. So I'm going to use a control copy, or you can go up and use your copy up here. But when I paste it up here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit paste special, because I want it to just paste in the values. I don't want to paste in, because it would be looking for formulas and essentially you just get a 0 down. So I'm going to paste them in now. Again, I'll go back and put a percent sign and get a couple of decimals. Okay, so now we've transferred those numbers up and we have the inflation premium. We'll roll back up and we'll see that it says that the real risk-free rate, the R star, is going to be 2%, and that's going to remain the same. I don't have any problems that I would ever give you that you'll run across where the R star will change if you're looking at a multi-year situation. It says the maturity risk premium on Treasury securities. So here, maturity risk premium is from 0 on very short term to 0.2% for a 1-year security, and that the maturity risk premium increases 0.2 for each year of maturity. So the first year it's going to be 0.2%, the next year 0.4%, and then 0.6%, 0.8%, and then finally 1%. Now, if we were going on further with this particular problem, I said I would only do the, whoops, hit the wrong number, that I would only hit, I would only go 5 years. If this went longer, if you went up to 10 years on these bonds, that 1% would remain the same based on what it was telling me. Now, we're looking at something here that doesn't have any information when you look in your book on liquidity risk premium or default risk premium, because it is a government bond. But you very well could have numbers in here. And a lot of times, these numbers are also going to be increasing, just like the maturity risk premium is. Because as you get out further, a lot of times it's less well known how well the company is going to hold up in terms of its liquidity and its default. And because that's an unknown, it's also a risk. And whenever you have the risk, then that's what is going to kick in here, is some additional charge in order to cover that risk. So to get the rates, you would just add them together. So equals the sum, and I'm just going to go across all 5 spaces. And so it would be 9% for the first one. Again, I'll get a couple of decimals to get the precision of 9.2. And then I can take the box in the lower right corner, if you're not used to doing Excel, drag it down, which will make it copy that formula. So as you look at it, the formula, the sum of B8 through through F8 is shown in the second box. The next one is going to be line 9, line 10, and line 11. So the main thing I wanted you to get from this is making sure you understand that you average your inflation premium. Under the real, it hardly ever changes. And then for these numbers here, your three risk factors, you just have to read your problem and see what is it going to say. How much do these change? Where do they start? Sometimes they'll start with maturity risk premium is 0 in year 1, and then it increases by 0.1. You'll see that written as T minus 1. So it begins in the second year. So year 2 minus year 1 equals 1 times the 0.1.